First horror novel really is the Bible. It's certainly the first locust novel.
As far as I'm concerned, there is only one horror writer, Garth Marenghi.
You know, by here, bit more, bit further, by the end. That's what this kind of stuff is. What I hope that my fiction achieves now is more of the slight chill. You know, the kind of, you know, for example, if that was Dawn Waters, you know, rather than I would hope that it would be right. Really? But hang on, I thought. Ooh. And if I can achieve that, then I will die a very happy man.
Shakespeare was a horror writer. Shakespeare dealt in the realms of the fantastique, as does Garth. They're both imaginers. They're both ferrymen. They both explore worlds. That's what they do. I have no truck with snobbery at all. To me, it's all the same. Literature, porno, dog racing.
And the way that he writes, you know, those nightmares down, is almost childlike. And that's what makes it frightening for me. It's like if you, a young son, you know, or a daughter, and they come bursting into your room, you know, at 1 a.m, screaming and crying. You know, they've had this awful nightmare. And you say, what happened? And they say, oh, this man came down with dish mops on his head and blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I mean? It has a certain, you know, certain horror than if I was to wake up, you know, my girlfriend and say, listen, I just had a nightmare. This man came down from the sky with a, I don't know, pitchfork, stuck me up the arse with it. Next thing I knew, I was, I don't know, on someone's tongue. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't give a shit. That's it.
Garth has made a lot of people read. I mean, most people who read Garth's books hate reading. Garth makes people who hate reading read. And they won't read anything good, but they'll read Garth. I will generally put in punctuation. I see that as my job. Garth does one draft. He doesn't want to dull it by constantly revising. He'll do one draft, and he'll often elect to omit punctuation. That's his call. I will put in commas. I won't put in semicolons. This isn't Joyce. I will omit dashes. Again, this isn't French writing. I will make sure that sentences start with capital letters. That's what they're called. I will make sure the book is long enough, or should I say thick enough. That could be a question of adding more words. It could be a question of making the paper thicker. Depends what we've got time for. I, in consultation with Garth, will view the cover. Are there too many skeletons on this cover? Is this skull big enough? Could we fit more maggots on? Should bits of this book be pop-up? Questions like that. So it is creative.
Horror is dead.
I beg your pardon. What did you just say?
You should stop writing.
Did you? No. You said horror is dead.
Horror is dead.
No, horror's not dead, my friend. You're dead. You're dead inside. If you think horror's dead, you're dead inside. Horror's not dead at all. Horror's alive. Here I am.
The horror genre, I think, is in a lot of trouble at the moment, in the fact that it's been made pretty obvious to me that nobody's buying the books anymore.
I mean, Slighter, Garth's first novel, sold over 1 million copies. His last novel sold 173 copies. Mail order. And it was mail order only.
My books did not sell 173 copies last run. London Fiends sold 219 because some of those were mail order. 173 was after the returns came back.
Last run of Garth's books, he was able to give every reader a free jumbo mug, and that's demeaning. Salman Rushdie doesn't have to give everyone a free jumbo mug. I mean, the literature sells itself, by and large, although a mug wouldn't go amiss from Salman.
People aren't buying videos. The kind of films that are made a spoof. So it's really possibly had its day.
I love working with women. Well, hang on, let me rephrase that. I admire the women I work with. Let me rephrase that. I will work with women. Just because I fall out with every woman that I work with doesn't mean I don't love working with women. I love working with women. And if women work the way I love, then we'd get on like a house on fire. But the trouble is women have a different way of working to me. They do not like anything I like.
I've been criticised for only employing women at Devil Press, even for heavy lifting. Now, I work better surrounded by beautiful women.
Yeah, that's one thing you cannot bounce back from. You can be a boozer, okay? You can, even drink drive these days. If you're a sex pest, you're finished. There's nowhere else to go. You can't be an actor after that. You can't go back on the TV. You're a sex pest and you're through. Best thing to do is to piss off to Spain or something. That's what I'd do, I think.
You've had troubles at Dean's with underage girls.
Yes, I have, that's right. The main problem has been, I personally believe that really from 13 and up, turn the other way. It's not a popular view, I know.
Most older women put up with a lot of nonsense, I've found. Younger women these days certainly do not. And I can vouch for this. It's quite funny now I think back, but a few weeks ago I had a blazing row with my young girlfriend. I called her father a thief, which in actual fact he is. There was no argument there. She took huge offence to that. Didn't say anything that night. Anyway, next morning she poured scorching coffee on me. Okay, now most men would have gone through the roof at that. Got up, I put my trousers on, grabbed the car keys, and I went on holiday. Okay, and since then she's mellowed and it's been fine.
But I personally believe that girls who lie about their age, and I'm talking about 14, 13-year-olds here, should be imprisoned. Or certainly sent to some kind of corrective institution. Because they're playing with fire. And if you play with fire, little girl, you're going to get burnt.
Garth, I know you once said one of the most beautiful things someone had said to you was that they'd actually climaxed while reading one of your books.
That's right, yeah. It was...
Me? I said that to you, didn't I?
I write scenes about making love. Now, some people might think that's just titillation.
It's not screwing, it's making love.
It's
though.
making love.
And can I just say you've not made love until you've made love to Mr. Jean-Michel Jarre.
Well, that's true.
It's like making love underwater, but, with more control. In the sex scene, a phrase I do like is her doc, because that's got a nautical theme that I feel fits in
Her
with
doc.
with the saltiness
Yeah.
of the entire endeavour.
Her doc, my ferry.
Yeah. Wet doc is too much.
Yeah, you see,
and I've
that's
seen
pushing
someone
it.
do that.
That's pushing it.
Stop at dock. I've read someone refer to it as a harbour, and I thought that was too ornate.
Well, that's, that sounds more vampiric, certainly.
Well, it just sounds like you're going to be moored there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Move on, because I don't want to talk.
It's it can be sordid.
I'll make love all day. I won't talk about making love all day. Well, I'll make love for as long as I can these days.
Dean's
Which
always...
actually is quite a long time by the time I manage to get anything going.
All right. You've started him off.
It's a sad, sad day.
I don't
want to
hear about it
I tell you what,
anymore. I don't want to hear about
Garth,
it, please.
let me tell you, it is a sad day.
I know it's a sad day.
It's a sad day for Dean. A sad day for Dean when I had to say, love, get a cab, it's not happening.
No woman has survived in any one of the last 3 books of yours.
Beg pardon?
Well, the women always buy it.
The women do not buy it. They die heroically.
Do you think that's going to be a problem when you're trying to
Look,
make the
all right,
concept?
we're talking about London Fiends, right? I presume you're talking about the story about the Wasp Priestess.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So the Wasp Priestess dies, but she was evil. Okay, so does that count as a woman? She's half wasp. So shall we say I'm knocking the wasps? Shall we say that? All right, I'm knocking the wasps as well then. I'm knocking the wasps and I'm knocking women. Okay? The female woman in that, the heroine, so the two women in that book for a start, half woman, half wasp priestess. If you include the wasp priestess, that's half. All right, so we say it's half woman, half wasp. So you've got 1.5 women in that book, all right, who show a hell of a lot of spirit, who are feisty, who can get the job done. The Wasp Priestess, I mean, you've really got to you've got to read some books, my friend. You have no idea.
It is true that a lot of the female characters do end up dead in Darkplace, but if you look at their character, they're not all what they seem. Broccoli, when she appears, on first look, to be a perfectly beautiful, healthy young lady, she's not. She's meant a broccoli. So she's hiding something.
I'm not saying that sex is the cause of their death. I'm not saying it's because they have sex that they die. I'm saying they have sex and then they die. Put it this way. When you are making love, everything is potent. Okay? You probably won't know that, but take it from me. All right? When you're busy doing it, everything's potent. You are raised to the highest pitch of experience. Okay, you're at a knife edge the whole time. It's a knife edge as to whether or not you're gonna. I can't say that. Put it this way: you're out of control, or can be out of control. Now, all I'm saying is that at such extremes, the chances are you're going to do something stupid like die afterwards. I grew up in the shit. Yeah? I could tell you about all kinds of shit. I can tell you about horse manure, I can tell you about dog poop, I can tell you about human excrement too, because I've seen it, and I've smelt it, and I've talked to the guys who made it. So up yours. Pal. I work a 24-hour day. I dream. I get up at around 9, read the papers till 10, breakfast till 11, and then there's a bit of admin I need to do. And then I hit the typewriter at about 11:45. And then I break at 1:30 for lunch, which Pam usually makes. And then we'll go into town during the afternoon. I might read a bit in the afternoon. And then it's really dinner. And then it's, thinking about dreaming again.
It's nice to see you back in the black leather.
What do you mean back in the black leather?
Well, on Darkplace, you wore a doctor's cape.
I've always liked black leather. I like the buffalo. I like cows. I like that food group, and I like to wear what I eat in a way. There's always a roast in our house, either on the table hot with gravy on the stove, or in the fridge cold and ready for the slice. They often say to people, "You've got a sweet tooth." With me, they say, "You've got a meat tooth," and they're right. I love meat. Pam loves meat. The children don't love meat, but that's what we cook them. And until they can afford to buy their own vegetarian food, they're just going to have to lump it.
You use humour brilliantly.
Oh, thank you.
How do you write such funny jokes?
Oh, well, if I hadn't been a horror writer, I think I'd have been a sort of musical comedian type. I'm very funny in conversation. People love what I say. They find them very funny. I'm just blessed with a natural wit. Pardon?
Sorry, do you try your jokes out on anyone?
I don't have to.
They just come naturally.
Well, I do try them. If I find a joke that works, I'll repeat it. I don't have to try them out. I mean, I know they're going to work.
You've got a very funny anecdote about your first pet.
I used to take him for walks up the road, and I used to let him off the leash. And he'd run into the mud, and he'd get muddy, and he'd get dirty, and he'd be barking, and I'd have only just cleaned him earlier, And he'd come back, and he'd be stinking, right? Because he'd been rolling in, God knows what, probably cow turd, something like that. And I remember one day he came bounding back, and I said, "Get away! I'm not getting anyone." I ducked out the way, and he tried to hump a child, and we nearly had him put down. I grow bloody sick of how many bloody letters I have penned and sent off and received no reply to. So this was always a kind of to the government.
Sorry, what are you upset about, Garth?
The fact that they never replied to me.
Who?
Them.
Who have you been writing to?
The people. The people who hide it from us.
Oh, what, the government?
Yes. I'm not going to call them that because I don't believe they govern.
You've got a funny theory about who is running the country.
I certainly have.
Who's that?
Rats.
Garth has many strange theories. Broccoli coming from space is just one. I don't like broccoli. I don't eat it as a rule. It's very fashionable now to eat. It could easily come from space. I'm sure that's nonsense, though.
Not many people know this, but there's a theory going around that wasps were the originators of life on this earth. We actually come from wasps. There's a part of wasp in all of us. However, there are some pure people who are of this earth. I think I'm from this kind who view the wasp as, our clan enemy. So I see myself as a crusader, a vigilante against them. They're disgusting creatures. They're very evil too. And they think. It's a hive mind. We're all part of a hive mind. Did you know that? We are.
I know that you have a chill corner in your house.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done there?
It's very simple. And if you're a serious student of the Fantastique, you'll take heed. You take a corner of your house and you have your chilly books there and you sit in your chair and you can pick up a candelabra probably for about a couple of quid now if you go to one of these garden places. Put that beside you. Black candles. Make sure you've got some extinguisher or something should there be an accident. And I recommend the music of Ioannis Exanis, Bohor 1. Put that on and I guarantee you a nightmare.
Do you think that's the thing many people in the world are trying to achieve?
No.
I think Garth, in terms of calibre of artist, will be remembered up with the very best. He'll be remembered in the same breath as Rick Astley. He'll be remembered in the same breath as Maureen Lipman. I would like my remains scattered among the tables of my club.
And what does Garth want done to his?
Garth wants to have his remains blown out of a medieval horn. I am self-taught. In fact, I've made it a point of honour never to learn anything from anyone else. My mother, God rest her, even though she's alive, but let's make sure that God helps her get some rest, brought me up on her own, worked a number of jobs. She was a quick fit fitter, she was a pool cleaner, and she was a taxidermist. And she did taxidermy nights. If there was a rush job on a stuff, she would be called in. And that's just the nasty stuff. That's getting the gristle out, that's getting the bone out, that's getting the innards out. And she would do that through the night, come back, clean a pool, get down quick fit, and then same again.
Nice to see you both, gentlemen.
Hello.
Oh, it's good to be seen, Paul.
You've been a team for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's
Too
talk
long.
about how that first happened.
Well,
Why Dean, Garth?
Well,
why not?
I knew who he was because he was making the papers from a very early age and I was only 15, 16.
The magazine that I was working on was called Dude, and it changed its name to Fella, more English. And it was a mixture of erotica and fantastic stories. I got a story by Min Marenghi, writing under a pseudonym at that time, so I didn't know who he was, called Face Bottom. I read it, and I thought, hey, there's something here. Not only is this a very haunting story about a guy whose face is literally half a bottom, but it's also a allegory of the Biafra conflict. This is very exciting, isn't it? Let's give him a call. Come into the office, please. Came into the office, met, got on, and he just signed my chest. We never had anything written. He signed my chest right there and then. In retrospect, I should have got something in writing. It was hubris on my part. But we've never looked back. We parted briefly, Garth and I, in the 80s. Garth for a while thought that he could do better with another manager. And that manager died. And then he came back to me. I wanted to stand for Parliament because I believe that there is a voice yet to be heard in politics. That is the voice of the liberated man. I got 7 votes in total, which is a shame because I know more than 7 people. Society deems driving drunk unacceptable. That's a society we live in. So we have to accept those rules.
What do you think about it?
I am personally capable of controlling a car no matter what level of intoxication I'm up to. That's a gift I have. At the moment, the law denies me from exercising that gift. I've had a lot of trouble with censorship in my life. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in self-appointed judges. I don't believe in judges. I don't really believe in appointments. My style is an eclectic mix. Some of it comes from 20s golf. Some of it comes from Al Capone. Some of it comes from the future. And some of it comes from thieful landlords. I've been smoking cigars since I was 12.
But you've never smoked a cigarette?
No. I don't want to get cancer.
Where did the cap angle come from?
This is how a man wears a cap. I mean, I could put it flat on, but, you know, I'm not a potato farmer.
It looks slightly camp.
Slightly camp? Yeah, well, that's your call, friend. I don't think it looks camp. I think if you speak to people who know me, I'm nothing if not camp.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It's a shame to end on that tone. It's quite a shame, because I was enjoying that, and you've kind of soured it. But never mind. Dean.
It's like any art form. There's a lot of sitting around. You know, one gets, dependent on certain things. I started to drink, you see, in 1979. And things got worse up until about, I'd say, 1994. The work kind of dried up, and I became, I think, a bit of a joke due to my own bad behaviour, I would imagine.
They simply don't make parts for people like Todd anymore. The parts got smaller. That's what happened, and he's got bigger.
I did have to file for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is not such a bad thing, you see. People have this stigma about bankruptcy. I mean, it's there to actually protect one. The thing is, if you're not on something which is on BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, whatever, then people think that you've died. Okay, I've done a lot of theatre, things, for no money, which I thought were good. What can you throw at me now? I've been imprisoned. I've been bankrupt. I haven't worked for many a long year. I've been dropped from every single record company that I was with. Do you know what I mean? What else have you got? I suppose you could say that I'm a sex pest. That's about the only thing left. You won't get any proof on anything like that. The question is, would I want to know the real me? Who knows that? I don't want to appear bitter about any of this, because, that's a very sort of easy way out. I'm not bitter at all. But, certain things do really get me down. I tend to sort of change my opinion on acting the older I get, but there are a few rules that I've stuck to from, basically from day one. It is like beats. Acting is like beats. Standing on the stage, the best kind of training an actor can ever get. Try telling that, that to an actor now. They'll think, you're a fool. All right then, Mr. So-and-so from EastEnders or whatever, get yourself on, stage in front of 500 people. If that's how many you can get in the theatre these days. I doubt even that. And, reach the man right at the back of the hall, and at the same time keep the intimacy for, the first row. That's not easy. Can't learn that kind of thing on TV, I'm afraid. The thing that I normally do is, I think of myself as being a human drum kit. Now, I can actually play the drums, which makes this much easier to describe to you. So it's as if I'm either sat at a drum kit and I'm going... and you're keeping up a beat, usually 4/4. 4/4 is much easier because other people know what 4/4 is. Once you start to, you know, change and waltz and things, people don't know where the fuck they are. So if you keep it, say, 4/4, and you say the lines, something like, Scotch mist? What Scotch mist? Somebody like Michael Caine, his beat would be obviously very simple, and would be a where it's just, you know, like a march, if you like. Whereas somebody like, who do I like? Christopher Walken, for instance. Now, he would have something completely different, more of a... Do you see what I mean?
What about Garth and Dean?
Garth and Dean, they wouldn't be aware of any beats or any kind of style at all. Garth would just be... Dean's would be... Just imagine somebody mentally retarded sat with a drum kit. Imagine the noise that they would make. That's what you got with Dean, I think. A good actor, I think, is always somebody who is very easy on the eye. And I don't just mean, you know, looking good. I mean, in terms of easy to watch, but at the same time has a kind of edge. So you're not quite sure of what they'll do next. And that's all down to timing. Now, I could read the same lines to you in 3 or 4 different ways, and I pretty much guarantee you would only remember one of the actual performances. I could read 2 flat and 2... you know, how I would normally do them. That's all it is. The words, I think, are pretty much, I wouldn't say immaterial, but it is all about speech patterns, gaps that you leave, air, you know, that you take, that kind of thing. Very, very short line, but it meant so much, you see. And your sort of current young 23-year-old TV actor would probably read that in the cab on the way to the job. That would be the first time he'd have actually seen that, I think. Got on set, stood against his opposite, waited for, I don't know, probably a second to make sure, you know, that the camera was back on him or whatever, and then would give you a reading. You and he were buddies, weren't you? Looking at him. Which is always a very, very selfish way to act, but it's what I see every day now. You and he were buddies, weren't you? Sort of thing. As opposed to possibly looking at the door, which I believe the scene was, looking back at him. Back at the door. You and he were buddies, weren't you? Need I say more? Need I say more? I mean, I turned on, what was it the other day? That bloody awful Cockney soap. What's that called?
EastEnders.
Yeah, and the most ugliest, disgusting-looking people, men and women. This fat bloke, I haven't got a clue what his name was, red in the face. I had to turn the bloody thing. I couldn't hear a word he was saying. And it was all that type of thing. And then this Cockney Sparrow, like young Barbara Windsor type, dyed black hair, looked like a fucking raven, near enough. And, you know, this is supposed to be, you know, serious stuff. I never seen anything like it. It was like a pantomime, my friend. Really awful. And I understand 12 million people actually turn on to that every single day. Is it on every day? I imagine it is now. Most of these things are. It was like a, I don't know, like a modern-day freak show. You know, that's what you've, you know, got to, you know, basically contend with. I'd rather bow out gracefully.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.